was waiting on Facebook. Welcome to the BlabberMalt Show with your hosts, Dave and Matthias, two guys that blabber incessantly about beer, brewing, and bullcrap. Stick around while they brew up another tasty episode. Hey, baby. All right.
What's up, brother?
Here we are, man. We are Dave and Matthias, and this is the BlabberMalt Show, episode 48 for February 24.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's get this thing rolling.
Yeah, let's get this thing rolling. And don't forget, before we get too deep into this, like, subscribe, follow us, hit all the buttons, follow us on all the socials, Instagram, X, Spotify, Facebook, YouTube. We're everywhere.
Anywhere you can podcast.
Yes, and hit our Beacons link, our link aggregator, and follow us. You can find all the socials there. And get some new swag, man. Look at these.
Swag.
BlabberMalt hoodies. Got his hat. Mine hasn't come in yet. We got coffee mugs. We still have the pint glasses. We got T-shirts. We got all the stuff that's good.
I mean, check this out, man. A couple different styles. You have the dark gray.
Yeah, I got the heather gray. It's really nice. It's soft. It's got a nice solid zipper.
Big hood.
Logo on the back. Nice pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm digging it, man.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Very comfortable. You know, this is true to fit. This is
it's a little warm under the lights, but
comfy.
what are we going to do?
I'm digging it. I am all swagged out today, and I'm loving it. So
yeah.
The hats, I mean, these are old school foam top, big build, rocking the
old trucker cap. Yeah,
man.
I got
old
my dad
school.
caps coming in soon.
Yeah, dad caps.
Soon,
so those are really cool, the dad caps, because they have the leather patch that's sewn into
right,
it.
Right. And you can mix and match. There's a black cap with a gray logo. There's a black logo. There's different color caps. So, suit your style. Do what you like.
I mean, it looked really good. All reasonable. I'm telling you, the hoodie zip up here is one of the nicest that I have had on in a long time. It's
nice.
Feels kind of lightweight.
Yeah.
But it's warm. Like that
it is.
fleece
Yeah.
inside.
It's fleece inside.
I'm digging it. So I wore it today, and the sun went down, and I'm loving it.
Keep the chill off. Yeah.
And I'm wearing the nice light collar, kind of rocking the I don't know. It's not really off white. It's
yeah. It's just a little light gray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has some
very
lines in
cool.
it. It's like a cream.
So hey, man, what'd you do this weekend? What'd you get into?
So this weekend was the Medina Ice Festival.
Okay.
So for those of you who have not been and you didn't go this year, you need to make sure that you get to Medina next year for the Ice Festival. We've talked about it a lot. Medina is a kind of a winter town, right? Very, very focused on Christmas. And so pretty much post Halloween all the way to probably St. Patrick's Day. It is just all in for all Christmas, right? So,
great.
And then this past weekend is the Ice Festival. So, again, the city's all decked out for winter, and the square is lined with ice sculptures. Every business has an ice sculpture out front.
Nice.
Every business in town that wants to participate puts an ice sculpture in the square.
Yeah.
Businesses offer really fun things, and it is just a packed house. So I was in Medina this weekend for the Ice Festival, and just enjoyed my time at Medina Brewing and in the rest of the area around. So just a really cool thing.
I saw some Michigan beer check-ins though.
I had some people bring some stuff down, so it's all good.
I thought maybe you traveled.
No traveling. I was working in Medina all weekend. Though I do have to say that did take a break from Medina to hustle my way downtown for the Stouted Out Loud Beer Fest, which is where the check-ins arrived. Right? So the Stouted Out Loud Beer Fest was fun. We were at Butcher and the Brewer, and we were one of, I think there were 14 breweries there. Yeah. Bringing the biggest and baddest stouts. I had to say baddest because not all of them were big, and we'll talk about one of those way later in the show.
Yes, we do. We will talk about them.
We brought our Better Together, the peanut butter chocolate coffee pastry stout that you guys had at the beer dinner.
Yeah,
and
very good.
which did really well. And we also brought our White Knight, which is our white pastry stout with coffee, which is kind of fun because, of course, Butcher has the albino stout, and ours is not like theirs at all. It was just fun to bring it and to share that with people.
Hey, look what we did.
Look what we did. But at the end of the day, our beer, the Better Together, made it to, I believe, the final round of judging.
Nice.
We had gotten down to come back down 3 times for the very end. So the top 3 were named, and we were in the other 2, I'm guessing.
Nice.
As the top
honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. But that isn't, it is what it is. Pete was all excited about it. Like, Pete, there's only one winner, technically. I mean, there's one trophy. You win the title of Stout Out Loud winner. So second place, in our case, wasn't second place, but you're like the first loser. Not first, you're last. That's kind of
right.
Come on, Ricky Bobby.
Oh, come on.
First,
you could be second. You could be third.
No.
Hell, you could be fourth.
Hell, son, you could be fourth. What, Dad? No. So, with that being said, great event. All the beer was wonderful. Just a great time hanging out with all of the brewers and their representatives, and just enjoying the day. Butcher and the Brewer is a wonderful location. Cold and snowy on Saturday, but
you had that beer to warm you up.
Had some beer to warm you up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Had a great time. So, and then back to Medina on Saturday evening for a little bit, just to check up on people and make sure that they didn't need anything before the end of the night. And then wiggled my way back down to Avon for about an hour, and then it was bedtime.
Check on them.
Yep.
Sounds
Story
good.
of my life sometimes, right?
Yeah.
How about you?
Well, I didn't really do any work on the home brewery because we were up in Marblehead. It's one of our rare trips up there during the winter, but we went up with some friends and had a few beers, but had some wine, had some nice wine at the Orchard. It's one of our favorite spots we go to up there, and they have remodeled the place. It's fantastic. They've really got some AAA dining experiences up in the Marblehead, Catawba area now. So we're going to be going back to those places, but that's what I was doing. Yeah.
It's great. Good time to get away.
Yes, definitely. It's cold and snowy. Man, it was blowing and blustery.
I've heard it was cold.
Yeah.
I mean, it was cold in Cleveland.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine what it was like.
Right on the lake there, just whistling off of that body of water. So
Wicked.
All right.
It's good, though, man. Glad you had fun.
Hey, man.
It's time for the Vorlov.
Let's do this. We're going to bring in our guest. This is our first guest. His name is Kal. He's up on the screen now. Hey, Kal, how you doing?
What's up, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, it's great to have you, man. I'm excited about this. He's our first remote guest, and he's also our first international guest. So welcome.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great. I discovered Kal's site, and we're going to get into that for a second, but I wonder if you could just tell us a little bit about the Electric Brewery and what you do there.
Sure. So like yourselves, or maybe like you, Dave, I've been a home brewer for quite some time, and many years ago I wanted to start brewing all grain. It's about 20-something years ago. And being in Canada, it's freaking cold up here. So I was trying to figure out how the hell can I do this and not freeze myself. And I know you guys aren't, strangers to the cold either, where you are. I tried figuring out how to do this in my garage with gas. It wasn't a pleasant experience. So I thought, what if I do electric? I can go indoors if I do electric. Nobody had really done much of it. There was some sort of founding fathers of electric brewing that had done this sort of piecemeal. And I thought, I'm going to put my engineering knowledge to work and figure out how to do this safely and efficiently inside. So that's what I did. And to let others follow my footsteps, I started a website called theelectricbrewery.com that has plans and shows you exactly how to build what I built step by step.
Yeah. In what year did you start that site?
It was around 2008, 2009 or so.
Okay. And you had been brewing for a few years before that, or had you started?
I've been brewing since '89, so I've been brewing quite some time. Yeah, since 1989. The beers we made back then weren't of the same quality, and I made a bunch of for years I made what are called 100% wort kits. So you buy somebody else's wort they've made, and you basically just ferment it out. But it's not really brewing. It's kind of like heating a pre-made dinner. You can't really call it your own. So when I wanted to go all grain, I wanted to do it 100% correctly and accurately, because the wort I was used to was extremely high quality. So I wanted to not fall backwards at all. I wanted to make sure I could do something that was super consistent, repeatable, reliable, and of course safe too. So that's where I spent about a year and a half, almost 2 years, probably designing and just playing with how's this going to work on a 3-vessel setup? How am I going to do this? How am I going to make sure my mash temps are all consistent, that I can do step mashes at the right speeds, so on and so forth. So at the end of it, I came out with all electric, and I've been enjoying it ever since. And others around the world have been following my footsteps, and they seem to be enjoying it as well. So it's nice to see.
Me included.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So let me back you up a little bit. And
sure.
I think this is interesting. We're from the States, so our experience coming up in the beers that we were exposed to might be different than yours, and how you found craft beer and found good beer and what those beers were. What were your gateways into the craft world?
It's funny you bring that up, because one of the reasons I wanted to make my own was because I lived in a kind of a wasteland of craft beer. In Canada, we didn't have, this is way back, this is back in the 90s or whatever. Everything was just, what style of lager do you want? Do you want a Molson Golden, or do you want a Molson Canadian, or do you want a Coors Light? And frankly, I mean, nothing wrong with those beers, but they all sort of tasted the same to me, and we wanted to kind of get into something that was a bit different. So where I'm from back then, we didn't have much choice other than making your own if you wanted to sort of expand a bit. So I was very interested in English beers, because I had heard of or tried things like Fuller's ESB, at some pub that happened to have that beer. There was the only one in town. Nobody liked that kind of beer. It was too dark, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And so we had to make our own way through the woods, essentially, to figure out how to make craft beer back in the 90s, the way you wanted to.
Kind of the early days of the internet too. There's information out there. But it wasn't as much as there is now. I mean, we had Molson Canadian and Labatt around here, but it was.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I feel gypped that we're talking to a Canuck and I don't have Molson Canadian right in front of me. I feel super slighted that the godfather of electric brewing is on our podcast, and I'm not repping a Molson Canadian or something fun like that.
Well, that was an import. It was a little more expensive, and back then it was quantity over quality.
Yeah,
so.
you hop the border to Canada and you get yourself a $3 Canadian beer for, I don't know, about $1 American is the best thing ever.
The irony is, had I grown up in the U.S., I might not have ever done this, because there was, it was a smorgasbord of craft beers, depending on where you lived. If you lived out in the West Coast or various places, Seattle especially, there was so much going on, so much interesting beers to try that maybe I wouldn't have tried something myself. I would have just stuck with commercial beers. But I like to experiment. I like to have hobbies like this. So it was very hobby driven as well, not just from lack of finding beers I liked.
So you mentioned a couple beers, the ESB and a few others. I think we've all kind of tried to pare down one thing that was like the aha moment, right? The one beer that was like, oh my gosh, right? This was my first big gateway beer. Right. Can you think back to that time in the the 80s when you stepped outside of that basic lager?
Yeah,
right?
there was a local IPA whose name I can't remember, and the brewery's long gone, but it was styled sort of to West Coast. It was dank and piney. It was like nothing I had ever had before. I thought, oh my God, this is completely different. Others didn't always like it, but to me, it was Mecca. It was like the perfect sort of combination of dank, piney. It was all, Columbus Citra. Sorry, no Citra. Columbus. What else? A few other hops, like Green Flash West Coast IPA kind of type of beer. If you were to try one today, and that, coupled with, I think, with Fuller's ESB, were the two ones that I really enjoyed that I could actually buy. there are probably a million others that if I could get my hands on them, I would have loved them as well. But there was nothing available really.
Good.
So you had that beer and you're like, I'm going to try to make this. So you try to clone it on your system. Is that kind of what happened?
Exactly. Yeah, I think the first beer I made was an aggressively hopped American IPA because I wanted something that I couldn't readily buy. It was, I can't remember, probably full of Amarillo, Simcoe, maybe some Columbus. I can't remember what hops I used exactly. It's 300 recipes ago, but it's in my book somewhere.
Yeah.
And it was great. I thought, oh my God, I can actually make this stuff, and it actually is good.
Yeah.
It's a learning experience. You learn and you sort of evolve your process, as you guys both know, and things get better and better as you proceed, and you tweak things. You never get 100% perfection on new recipes out of the gate, I don't think, but you can certainly get very close. Something that's very tasty, regardless.
Yeah, and that's the fun of it, Now I'm looking at you, Kal, and you look like a young man, but you say you've been brewing since '89. That's hard to believe. Uh-oh, did we lose him? No, there he is.
Oh, you guys still there?
Yeah,
you're a little jumpy.
Yeah.
No, I'm on the wrong side of 50, so it's.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it's all the beer that's keeping me young. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be.
Young at heart.
Yeah, it could be.
That's good.
Exactly.
Great. So,
should we? Are you drinking a beer? By the way, this is a podcast about beer brewing.
I'm not at the moment, but I can certainly. Here, let me change the camera around. I can pour something.
Yeah.
Look at this guy. He calls this a hobby. This is an obsession.
Okay. I'm going to try to do this one-handed. Doing this one-handed is kind of difficult.
Yeah. So the Electric Brewery site it's a retail site, but it's kind of more of a resource. Like it's where people go to learn how to do this. It's where I went. I mean, one internet search, and this is the site.
Look at that setup.
I know. It's ridiculous. I want to get a tour in a minute, but
you mentioned it's a retail site, but it never really started that way. It's primarily sort of a site to give you information on how to build all the things that you're seeing right now, step by step, with parts lists.
So that
really
was
the idea was it was a knowledge sharing website, and we didn't start selling ourselves until many, many years later. I kept getting people saying, you know what, I don't want to build this myself. Can you just build one for me? And I said, well, no, I can't. I don't have time to do this. So we put out feelers. I talked to various manufacturers, and we partnered with people that are now building things to much higher quality than I could ever did back then. So it's nice to see.
Yeah, it's and I read about your philosophy about we're going to design this with off-the-shelf parts that can be replaced on into the future.
Right.
Long after I don't want to. I guess maybe a couple names of the big boys, and you buy their controllers and they take a crap on you, and well, you got to buy a new one. Well, or you could just have your own panel and replace a part, and you're back up and running. I think that's awesome, Kal. I really do.
I mean, it was something that I wanted to do right from the start, not as a commercial focus, but just for my own sake, because I was going to spend a lot of time and money, and in this case now real estate in my home, to have this thing running. And I didn't want to, in 2 years or 20 years or whatever, have to say, well, crap, something broke. This company is no longer in business, or this company has moved on to, a different version, and I have to go spend thousands and thousands to replace everything. I wanted it to be all very sort of quick service, commercial, industrial, so things won't happen probably in the first place. That said, I've had very few things. I think I've replaced one or two $2 LED lights or $5 lights on my panel. That's about it. And, the stainless parts don't tend to wear out, of course, but it had to be serviceable and easily done, and had to be using parts that are used in industry that weren't going to go away.
Right, and that's the beauty of it. And your site, every single part has a link that works, by the way, and you can get them from Amazon, your site.
Thanks.
Canadian Amazon. I mean, how do you keep all those links working?
Well, it's a lot of work. I do sort of a sweep every once in a while, just to make sure things are still okay. And in some cases, you don't get to a direct product. You'll get to a search on Amazon or eBay, maybe. So, there is some work on the individual to have to try to figure out, which is the correct one. You can't get directly to an Amazon product. I have to sort of just search, but it works, and people always seem to be happy about, what's going on.
Yeah,
And we do offer all the products ourselves. So the ones that we sort of guarantee and sell ourselves, that we've over time figured out what works best and what doesn't. So if anybody wants to follow, as well as kits as well, if you want to not go and figure out a million things, you can just buy a kit or even pre-assembled. It's up to the individual to decide.
Yeah, and there's different levels, and you can get the kit with the panel that you have to cut out the holes and spray paint the thing and powder coat it yourself, or you can get that done and just assemble it, or you can get the thing entirely built. It's fun. It's super fun.
There's something to be said about building yourself. I mean, everybody has different needs. So I want to hit on different options. And a lot of people tell me that, I want to learn how this works. So I'm going to build it myself. And I always think that, great for you. That's fantastic. But not everybody wants to go that route. So, it's up to the individual to choose what's best for them, really.
Yeah. And that's what we talk about with people who are getting into the hobby of homebrewing. I think that's where I would say 99% of people who are in the industry today started, right? Whether we did it at home on starting out with a small cooler to a bigger cooler system with mash tun and getting into either, in this case, electric brewing. Being able to get in at a lower cost and do some stuff yourself is important in this industry, or hobby for that matter, because again, everybody's coming in with a different mindset, a different thickness of their wallet, and really just what am I going to invest in the process?
For sure. The hobbies I find extremely hands-on. It's a craft hobby. So I find that most home brewers are somewhat technical, and they want to be involved with the process and how things work. They don't want to just buy something and then plug it in and have beer come out the end, because to them, that's like, I don't know, they don't feel like they're fully attached to what they made. And you as a pro brewer know, like, a brewer isn't just a guy who shovels malt and, pitches yeast. You're doing like electrical work. You're doing plumbing. Well, cleaning is the biggest part. But
that's our thing.
Yeah, but there's so many skills involved. You learn everything. You learn everything from plumbing to some electrical to some of this, some of that. It's just fighting the fires. Making sure that you can produce good quality product.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It is very important. And I think that as people dive into the hobby, right, it's a noticeable thing. And I kind of bring it up because it's important to Dave, and I want to have you guys talk about this. And just from the outside in, listening to him talk over the course of time, not only are you offering these opportunities to buy the product and forums to work through it. Can we talk about that a little bit? I know you got some good benefit from some of those forums, right? On how to people talking, asking questions, really being involved in the community, because that's what we're about. The brewing world has a community. We help each other out tremendously, and I would say that even though we do those things, those come out of a heart of home brewing, which is probably one of the most communal things to do. So what does that look like? Can we talk about that a little bit? I know Dave has some insight on that too, but you're not just a forum that covers some electric brewing techniques, but there's more there too. Can we spend some time talking about that?
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's all about information sharing, right? So I came in this, like the other hobbies I have too. It's all about, let's share. We have a common love and interest in some subjects. So you get out there, you're on forums, you're on Facebook groups, you're just, you're sharing your knowledge, trying to help others, learning from others, helping the new guys, and for years I was that new person trying to read and figure out, well, how does this work? And there were so many great, founding fathers like Charlie P. His book got me into this years and years ago, and they just have the right mindset where they don't want to hold something and you can't get this unless you pay me or something, or I'm gonna start a business and copyright it. So when I got into the industry, I said, I'm not going to do that. One of my mindsets was, or one of my mantras was, everything will always be free. Like, if you want to do this, here's everything you need to know. Because everybody's helped me. The least I can do is take the information that I've learned and sort of regurgitate it in sort of maybe a easier to follow fashion than trying to figure out how to do it through various forums and Facebook pages and threads and whatever, So what comes around, what goes around comes around, I guess is the expression. You help others, others help you. It's a community feeling. Everybody feels that they're enjoying the hobby because they're helping everybody. So I've always been that way.
And there's a lot of people, if you're getting into this and you're thinking about, hey, maybe I could do it this way. Yep. There are people, and they won't insult you. They'll guide you. Like, with electricity, that's maybe not the safest way to do it. So and Kal would do this all day long. When me and my dad were struggling, making our dumb mistakes with the breaker. I'm sure 100 people have had that problem, but he told
you
us
weren't
exactly.
the first. I remember you emailed me and said, that it wouldn't turn on. I said, okay.
I know exactly what
was wired wrong. So, it's common mistakes, and it's people repeat the same problems over and over again. That's normal. We just help everybody, and everybody helps us too. So,
I certainly appreciate that. And I emailed him, and he emailed back like instantly, like, "Oh my God, that's great! Thank you so much."
You had an easy question.
Yeah.
It's one we've seen millions of times before.
Yeah,
so
great.
It's all good. It's all good.
So Kal, if I was an individual who is watching this podcast and we've gotten the word out and they're asking themselves, okay, this sounds like something they want to be involved in, whether they go all the way in or they just want to be a part of the forum and be a part of a community and kind of just touch base and be a lurker and see how things are moving. How do they get a hold of you? What's that look like? Can you give us some details? Promote yourself a little bit here on this podcast.
The first thing I'd say is not to promote myself, but if you're interested in brewing, find out who the local club is in your area, because there's literally tens of thousands around the world, all across the U.S., across Canada as well. Your first, mission should be find like-minded individuals in your area, and then you can maybe go and watch them brew, or ask questions, join their Facebook group or their forum or whatever way they disseminate information, and kind of get to learn, because everybody has a different approach to brewing. Brewing is an interesting hobby. There's no right or wrong way. Some people are in it super sciencey, some like the craft nature and don't measure anything, and there's no right or wrong answer. So, I'm always happy to answer questions. If anybody wants to get a hold of me, they can do so through my website at theelectricbrewery.com. There is email links. You can contact us. We're on all the socials as well, if anybody needs to contact us that way. So I'm happy to answer questions that way. But I always say it's a community hobby. So start figuring out who in your area might also like to do this, because there's clubs everywhere. That's the best way to learn.
That's for sure. Yeah, definitely. In this area, it would be the Snobs or Brew 16 or.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yep.
So the forums are not only about electric brewing. There's also a bunch of recipes on there, and I've been eyeing some of those. When I finally get this brewery up and running, I'm going to try one. I like the I like the looks of the the electric candy.
Electric hop candy. Yeah, that's
electric
my
hop candy. Yeah.
That's my New England IPA. Yeah, I took lots of trial and error to sort of get it exactly the way I liked. So it's
nice.
I hope you like it.
Yeah, I want to try that just so I don't have to worry about the recipe. I can concentrate on working the bugs out of the system, and
it's kind of a classic NEPA. Like it sounds funny to say, almost like an old school, New England IPA. It's not like a milkshake IPA. It's not. Doesn't have donuts in it. It doesn't, or Oreos, or
Yeah, I'm offended.
Yeah, ABC they do a lot of that.
That's my thing. I'm just kidding.
But it kind of follows all the the basic 10 rules of what makes a New England IPA a New England IPA, and so one of the things I like to do with my recipes too is like, explain things a bit more, because I found, as somebody who's been looking at recipes for 30 plus years, is you often have zero context. You find one somewhere and it's like, okay, well, but what is it exactly? Or is it any good? They don't give details. They don't talk about their water adjustment. They don't talk about other things, which I find are equally as important than just what kind of yeast to use and what grain bill to use. So I tend to list the entire process, start to end, all the water adjustments, everything that will make a difference, because it's more than just, what the hell do you grind in your grain mill, and what hops do you use, so.
I agree. I think water is of utmost importance when you're trying to brew a NEPA. What's your water like up in Ottawa?
Oh, it's phenomenal. We have extremely soft water, which means like very low minerals. So nice. It's close to distilled/RO. So right out of the tap. So I can add stuff without having to use an RO system to reduce water. It's almost as is. I find perfect for like a Czech pills, like an extremely light mineral content water. I use it almost as is for that. And then everything else, I add to it. So NEPAs are a great example where, hazies like that, they do weird things with high chloride, low sulfate, which you rarely see naturally in nature. So I think that's an important type of style that really requires water adjustment. Not everything does. I mean, you can make beer with any water. It's not required, but your results might not be favorable or exactly the way you were hoping they might be. So
correct.
Yeah. So another thing that I noticed on the site, you have some links to some things. One of the things, you have some treatise or essays on your theories on different aspects of brewing. And I think, when you're a brewer of a certain age, you kind of have some ideas like this, like me. And I was struck by your case against whirlpooling, because I've asked myself for a long time, why am I doing this on a homebrew scale?
I think a lot of things that happen in brewing or any hobby is people follow what's been done before and might not really understand why they're doing it too. So that article about against whirlpooling, it wasn't so much maybe against whirlpooling, it was more to explain what whirlpooling is and why you don't really need it for something like hop extraction. So
on a homebrew scale,
I think a lot of people think or thought that if I don't whirlpool my hops, in my kettle after, I'm not going to get any hop extraction. It must be done. It's required. But whirlpooling is really about just, getting your tube to form a cone in the middle so that you can then, drain the clear stuff off the edges. That's the primary reason. So if you focus more on that, I think you'll start to appreciate more, why you might want to do it or not do it.
And you can still steep hops.
Maybe save some time, and you don't. Well, that's what I do. I mean, I just I throw them in, I steep them for a couple of minutes. There's no need to make them go round and round. I mean, it's the extraction is more about heat and temperature, temperature and time than like having them spin. So
I mean, I just look at the bottom of my kettle.
Can help sometimes, especially when it's colder. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the pile of tube, and it's 3 inches from the dip tube. I'm like, it's going to suck it up anyways. Why am I doing this?
Sure.
So I was happy to read that. I'm like, okay, I'm going to stop doing this. Get a hot filter.
There's different ways. If you have a way that works for you, I'd say stick with it.
Yeah.
Just be careful, like following what is maybe the way that everybody's always done it, and question everything. That's the mantra of science too, right? Is like, trust but verify. You assume things are correct, but then try it yourself.
Well, that's how a lot of the great innovations in brewing happen. People say, why don't we add hops while it's fermenting? Right?
And try it.
Never did it. We used to never do it.
Nope.
They do it all the time.
No, that's a New England IPA invention, quote unquote.
Right. Yeah.
So
no, the old school idea was that you'd blow off all this flavor and aroma from this with the CO2. But then it's like the idea of biotransformation didn't exist.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was homebrewers that did that.
Science and magic.
Magic.
All worked into the same thing.
Yes.
As long as there's beer.
As long as there's beer at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And you keep all those yummies in suspension, the world's a happier place.
Exactly.
So in Kal's world of brewing, what's your favorite type of beer to brew, and what's in your fermenters right now, and what's on tap?
You know, that's I'm going to be really boring and say that my favorite is IPAs, American IPAs. Well, not even American IPAs. I know it's the favorite style of everybody in the world that likes, you know, craft beers, but I'm unfortunately I do the same. So
I'm a hophead.
Right now. So right now on tap, you know, the one that I'm enjoying now, because I might not have too many on at once, is Firestone Walker's Black Rye IPA. I've included that on here. It's a fairly strong one. It's 8%. So, you know,
my jam.
And the color is nice. It's nice and dark.
It's beautiful.
So it does something that was supposedly you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to put roasty and hoppy together. You know, that was another thing that was supposedly completely incorrect and would taste like crap. But guess what? It's very popular. So
yeah, those bitterness play off of each other very nicely.
So IPAs for sure, and I tend to go between like a New England IPA, some other American, maybe West Coast style, Belgian IPAs, white IPAs. I haven't done a cold IPA yet, but I'm trying to think of what other IPAs.
You'll love them. You'll love it.
Yeah, I'll try. It's on my to brew list. You know, I have so many.
So freaking good.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'm addicted.
I'll certainly try one. So as for what's in my fermenter here, let me turn the camera around and see if you can see. Ooh. I have a couple of fermenters. So right now this is a Weizenbach. You can't obviously see it much, you know. It's a high ABV, slightly kind of raisiny, plummy Hefeweizen.
I do like Weizenbachs a lot.
Sounds incredible.
Yeah. So it's something I've actually never brewed before. So I'm hoping it's going to turn out okay, and it's just about ready to keg. I don't think it's pretty much done bubbling. It's at room temperature now because it's completely done. I'm just letting it kind of rest a little bit. No late addition hops, nothing, no hurry to get it into kegs or anything at this moment. And I'm soaking a couple of kegs ready to go. So in a few days, I'll probably just do a direct transfer there, closed transfer, and throw it in the fridges. It should be ready to go fairly soon thereafter because it doesn't require much aging.
Awesome. Look at that brewery, Matthias.
Can we get a tour? I'm
sure.
I am so stoked.
You certainly
right
may.
now.
Yeah, you certainly may. So, I mean, I think you already saw where the serving is done here in the bar. So we have a bunch of beers on tap. We toyed around a bit, you know, how many taps do we want? And I had 4 at our previous house, and I always found I was running to the back room to get the latest beer that was still kind of aging or conditioning.
Right.
And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to go to 8. I could always put on some seltzer or something else, or, you know, something different if ever we decide we don't want to have that many, but it's popular. One of the issues with having lots of taps and, you know, not always that many people to consume is you have to be careful what you have on there. So I mentioned, you know, IPAs, you know, they don't like to really age. They don't age well, right? They're best drunk fresh. So I tend to focus only on one IPA at a time. And the other beers like the Weizens, the Kolsch, the Cali Commons, let's see, Fuller's ESB, a Dubel, and a Riss and a Porter, they can stay on for months and months. And I think, I mean, some of these have been on for literally 2 years now. I think the Riss has been on there forever.
Yeah.
So beers that, you know, do very well long term.
So when you have the Fullers there, that's your home brewed version, or is
yes,
that commercial?
Yeah, those are all. I don't.
Clones.
Yeah, I don't buy any beer really. These are all, you know, my own recipes, my own versions of them.
Okay. Yeah.
So I've been very happy with them. So behind the bar, of course, is the brewery. So it's a sort of a classic 3-vessel setup. So I have my panel here that's used to control all the temperatures. So this one is a bit messier inside than, you know, the ones that we send out ourselves. You know, this is the prototype. So not everything is entirely, matching. I have, odd colored plugs. It's whatever I could find on eBay at the time, but everything's done, to spec, to code.
Yeah. Looks familiar.
And 3 kettles. So, Yep. So I did something which I think most people don't do. In my previous house, I had to have my boil kettle all the way on the left. And, in North America, we tend to read left to right, but I now brew right to left. So I have my hot liquor tank here all the way on the right with a heating element and a Hermes coil.
Mm-hmm.
And then the mash tun is in the middle. That's where the grain goes. So you have, your hoses and whatnot for returning water on top.
Right.
And then your boil kettle, of course, is all the way on the left.
That's how I
That makes sense with the
hop stopper filter.
Yeah. Makes sense with the sink over there, I guess, on that side.
Well, in this house, I could have gone the other way, but I was so used to now always having this setup, so I did the same. In the previous house, I had a wall all the way on the left, and the sink had to go in the corner. I had no choice, and I wanted ease of cleaning for the boil kettle. I want to be able to tilt this thing right over, without having to disconnect it. This way, I don't disconnect anything. There's a couple of wires and things in the back here, which I prefer not to have to disconnect. So I just tilt it over in the sink. I spray it with the spray wash arm, get things all cleaned, and you're good to go.
Nice. It's beautiful. It's clean.
It is brilliant.
I love it. And you boil you have the hood over, so you don't do a condensation lid.
No. So those have sort of come and gone in popularity. It's the problem with the condensation. What do they call the hoods? Is they use a ton of water, but that aside is all the heat stays inside the house. So I find with this thing, I can run the fan. I have a fan switch here.
Okay.
And there's a makeup air up in the corner here. So I open that vent, and then cold air from outside comes in, and it gets sucked out the top.
Okay.
So instead of keeping all the heat and moisture inside the house, you get to evacuate everything.
I mean, I kind of just want to say,
I know, right?
We're not worthy.
Look
we're
at
not worthy. What a stud.
Well, it's very simple stuff. I mean, these vents and things are nothing complicated. Even this vent itself is just a stainless box essentially.
Yep.
It does have a trough here, but frankly, I don't think I've ever seen any kind of condensation there. So I could put a drain.
So
no, I could put a drain here. I could drain down into the sink if there was lots of condensation. But I think if you're going to get that much, you'd have all kinds of other problems, frankly.
Yeah, that is drool worthy, as they say.
It is,
as the kids say. I don't know if the kids say that, but I'm
killer. Man,
I just find it works. I mean, I wanted something that wasn't going to cause me pain and grief, and have to suffer through things. And when I brewed a couple of weeks ago, or about a week and a half ago, making this thing here, it must have been about -20 outside, but in here it was 65 Fahrenheit, close to 70, and that was with this thing, piping freezing cold air from outside. It's because it's mixing with the heat of the kettles, so it's sort of it balances out.
Kind of equilibrium there, yeah.
Exactly.
So I have to ask this. You have taken up some real estate in your house. What is how is Mrs. Kal a beer lover? Is she on board with this? Okay.
She is. She loves a good Weizen, so that's
yeah. I got to keep that on then. Yeah.
No, that's permanently on tap. That's not an option.
Yeah, yeah.
And the Kolsch too, maybe. That's
great.
I have to have those for sure on at all times.
That's great, man. I appreciate the tour there. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Big questions.
No worries.
So if you don't mind sticking around, we're going to roll through a couple other things we'd like to go through on the show.
We'll leave you on the corner here. It's time for the
First up on homebrew happenings, should I tell Kal about my...
you don't have a choice.
I know. So I had a little snafu with the chassis punch versus conduit punch. The size difference.
Oh, no.
Yes.
He heard that and immediately said,
yeah.
Oh.
See, he's like, well, this is the second thing
Oh no.
to the.
Oh no.
Oh no, Dave.
So yeah.
That's why I have so many
Yeah.
big red warnings on the website.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
Had I see. The thing is, I read, but I'm not comprehending. I'm reading it. I'm not.
In all fairness, there's a lot of information, so you're not
Yeah.
the first, and I struggle with how to point out the most important things that might cause you pain and grief. But the problem is, there might be, if you're doing everything yourself from scratch, there could literally be hundreds.
There's
so
lots.
I tell people, you know what? If you want to do everything yourself, make sure to slow down. Don't just look at the pictures. Read every word.
Yeah, I get too excited.
You just got to
No, I know.
Let's
You
build
want beer. I know. It's
beer.
Exactly.
So yeah, I used my dad's an electrician, so he has a conduit punch, and
Yes.
I reach
Yes.
for the 1.25 inch, and of course it's bigger than.
Yes.
Long story short, I did find some fittings that fit, and it's not leaking.
Okay.
So, and
That's
actually,
good.
it
That's
might be, and this was in the
It's your
HLT.
HLT, so
Yeah, it might be nice to have on the boil kettle. You can take that out and clean it better. I don't know.
People are
wait a
have
minute.
different mindsets. Yeah.
You just went from I made a major mistake.
I might do it
Right?
again.
I might just do it again.
Are you talking about taking the heating element out?
Oh, geez.
Yeah, for cleaning.
Yeah.
And just using a tri-clamp fitting.
Yeah. So on the HLT, you never have to remove it because there's only
Yeah.
water. But on a boil, some people do like to remove it. I find it's well, I'll show you. I find it's almost easier to not have it connected. Have it disconnected. So mine is permanent here, permanent as it can be. There's a nut on the inside. I'll
Right.
show you where that is. And I find just having it permanently sort of connected this way, it's like having a third set of hands that kind of holds it in place for me. So it's easier to clean. So I could remove it, but I can get my arms in there when it's sideways very easily.
Yeah.
And I use a little brush, like a little dish brush, to sort of clean it off.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe pass a sponge. And the kettle's always holding it away from the walls and off the floor. So for me, that's almost easier. But to each their own. If somebody wants to go TC, that's fine.
Yeah. I'll start out with the smaller hole because, you can't make a bigger hole smaller.
No, exactly. Well, you can weld something on. I've seen people do that sometimes, or use adapters and whatnot. But it can get kind of messy and.
Yeah. Plus the tri-clamp, it kind of stands off. That electric box stands off a little bit farther. Yep. So I don't know.
It does, yeah. And consider whether you do want TC or not, because on the hot side, on a small setup like this, I question the value sometimes. Like, okay, I have some right here on this little sight glass,
right?
But they're a pain in the butt to use. Compared to just regular, like my regular hoses here. I'll show you here. They use quick disconnects like this, and they just push on and off. Whereas, TC, you have to sit here and turn it, and you can not very easily one hand them. You have to flip the things out, and you lose the silicone seals too.
Yeah,
they're more expensive. Who's that? Sorry.
It's the brewer at ABC. He can just flip them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've seen that. Yeah. It's and they're more expensive and so on and so forth. I sort of like the simplicity of my quick disconnects, but again, teach their own, right?
Yeah, I like.
And on
like
the cold
those...
side, TC makes sense because the sanitary feature is very useful. On the hot side, everything's boiled, so
Yeah.
And the grain we use is full of some rat shit and hair, anyways. So it's why do you need?
That's what
TC
makes it
fittings
tasty.
in your mash tun? Yeah, it's the idea of sanitary on the hot side, for most of the purposes, doesn't really make much sense to me.
Yeah, I like those quick disconnects
on this scale.
For sure.
I want the.
I mean, on a large scale, if you're brewing very large setups, your hoses start to get very, very heavy, and you need TC and you want to standardize and so on and so forth. You can't get QDs.
Yeah, I went with the cam locks when I started brewing, so I'm kind of in that avenue. Those quick discs, it would cost not a lot, but it would be couple $100. So I'll stick with the. Did we lose him?
I may have lost him for a second. I think he had some trouble back when he was in the brew. There we
There
go.
he is. He's back.
Sorry, it's the flipping back and forth doesn't always seem to work.
Yeah, he's back.
It's all good. So, Dave, where are you at with your actual setup? Are you missing some parts? What's happening? When are we going to brew here?
I just have work to do just to get everything plumbed. I'm still waiting. Spike. Spike has those new flow pumps, which they're like the Blickmans, and they have it's like the 3-inch tri-clamp,
Yep.
so you can remove the head and clean it real easy. I think that's cool. And they fixed the Blickman had it was like a pressure release to prime the pump.
Okay.
So you open it and it sprays wort everywhere. Well, the Spike, they have it's angled down, and you can put a little cup and open it and prime it. So it's a lot. It's a very little.
It's bougie.
It's bougie. It's a little feature, but I think it's worth waiting. But they're on back order still. So
You know
Dave's
what?
gonna wait
Put
for
your
the
pump-
bougie pump.
You put your pumps low, you don't need to prime them.
just open up the valve.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't like the idea of leader valves on pumps when you have boiling liquid coming through them. 'Cause
Exactly.
like you said,
Especially
that's
when
dangerous.
it sprays everywhere. Yeah. Yeah.
So the idea is put them at least a few feet below, and I never get air in my lines. I never get any problems. I just open them in the right order
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
for my brew day step-by-step guide, and there's zero issues.
Yeah.
Less parts to clean than tube. Less stuff to come up.
So, Dave, the
For
rule
sure.
is more reading.
Slow down and read stuff.
Slow down.
Yeah.
No, I'm just I'm excited for your just to finish this off. And
Plus, I have to get that sink plumbed in.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm set on where it is, so we just plumb it in.
Yep. Cal, I gotta
Sinks
tell
are
you,
key.
Dave has just been glowing over not just
I talk about you all the time, Cal.
he does. It's a bromance.
Oh, shucks.
It's a bromance.
Shucks.
Yeah, I got to get up to Ottawa. Check out this place.
Yeah.
We got
we'll
8
come up
beers
and
on
hang
tap.
out.
Any-
Yeah.
We're coming up.
Anytime.
We're doing 8. We're
we
coming up.
don't get through the beer fast enough, so any help is appreciated.
I'm a black IPA fan, so we're coming up.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
Mark it down.
good
We're going to
one.
do a BlabberMalt show from
international.
Sure.
Ottawa.
Yeah.
He said, "Sure."
Let me know.
You heard him. in
Yeah,
BlabberMalt.
confirmation. Yeah.
This gentleman
Just
up
let
here
me know.
said it's good to go. Road trip. Done. It's online. It's on the internet.
Excellent.
It's true. That's awesome.
All right,
Well,
man. So pro
sounds good.
brew happenings. What's going on? ABC, ZZs, and Medina.
Yeah, so we just I just mentioned to you that you guys were at the ABC beer dinner, which was totally epic. So much fun, and we are head on to Lent. We're trying to change some beers over, going from our super heavy Christmas ales
To your super
and
heavy spring beers.
to our not so heavy spring beers. Put on some 6%ers, a couple 5%ers coming up here pretty soon. So just kind of transitioning in that direction. And Medina, we just put on a cold pale ale, our first ever cold pale ale. We've been running our cold IPAs about that 7.5%, maybe 8 at the most. But now we're rolling with a 5.5% cold pale. Again, just loving those the hop explosion coming off that lager yeast. It's just
Yeah, you guys
Primo.
just put on like 4 or 5 new beers.
yeah. Avon
Can I
has
ask-
5 or 6 new beers.
Can I ask what lager yeast you use on your cold IPAs? Or is that proprietary?
It's proprietary. It depends on
Okay.
where we get it from.
Sure. Okay.
So
Fair enough.
are we gonna? So one of the again, we talk about this a lot. It's one of the greatest things about our setup. We brew most of our lagers up in Medina, which is our secondary sister location from our main production facility, and most of our big breweries in the area, Brew Kettle, Great Lakes, and Fatheads, we share yeast. So we're looking at lagers, and we kind of roll through that process with that. So it really just depends in the moment,
Yeah.
but just as long as it's clean and it's working its magic,
Exactly.
we've seen great success in that.
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So in other brewery news around here, we have, I just saw today, Twin Oaks, they bought Catawba Island Brewing Company.
Last year? Was it
Last year? Yeah, and they just announced, I thought they were just going to take, they have their Hot Blonde habanero ale.
Yep.
I thought they were just going to brand that Twin Oaks, but...
Which is what they said they were going to do.
Yeah, but they're relaunching Catawba Island as its standalone products. They're going to have a place downtown, or Port Clinton downtown, and going to do Hot Blonde and a couple other of their flagships, but they're also going to come out. They have like 3 or 4 brand new beers they're going to have. So
it's
that's
just
good.
smart.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what our model is. And so keeping that opportunity to brew and be hyper local is a good idea.
Yeah, and you just have another label, and it's something different. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That Hot Blonde, we had some jokes about that this weekend. Our friend, the Haugs, we were at a bar and we're like, hey, give me a light lager. And the girl's like, we have the Hot Blonde. And he's like, I'll take that. I'm like, it's habanero. Don't get it. And he didn't care for it. But I'm like, I tried to tell you, dude.
It is spicy.
It is spicy.
It is spicy. Yeah. You know, when we were at the Stout It Out Loud competition, I did kind of jest a little bit about, second place is the first loser. Probably because we weren't second place. I'm not sure. No. But we do have some announcements, and they posted it online today, and they were super stoked because the beer they brought to the table, which in typical form, 8, 10, 12, 14%, big boy, stout, barrel-aged all across the board. Our friends over at Ghost Tree
killing it.
Yeah, they brought I think they got was it a silver medal?
Yeah, second place.
Yeah, second place for their 6% barrel-aged stout. And it was delicious.
Yeah, I didn't try it. I'm jealous.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
They did a nice job.
Yeah.
And they're brewing fantastic beer on a regular basis. And if you have not,
their new location coming out.
Yeah, if you have not yet been to their original location there at Amherst, you need to.
Yep, absolutely.
Pizza and beer.
Support those guys.
Wings and beer. Our podcast we were there live. We got to try that one of their Belgians early on. From their barrel program, and they're just doing great things. And now they have that production facility in Elyria, which is moving to be ready to go here soon. And they're just stoked and they're excited, and their team is doing really, really good things. For sure.
Definitely.
We do have some bad news, though, in terms of...
Yeah, I hesitated to even put this on here.
But it's important. It's important.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for Ron.
Yeah, Arche, they're going to close both locations. They said giving up the ghost. They can't fight any longer. It's sad. They had some great beers.
They did.
Great locations.
And I know that Ron, of all people, would have given and has given everything he knows what to do, not just for the industry, for his people both in Merriman and also in the production facility, to really just give it his all. I think we're all going to miss his weekly updates on what they're testing out lab rat wise and on the beer and also on the food side. But we wish you the best of luck in whatever future endeavor has for you.
Yep. And they're still open for next couple of weeks, so get down there.
Was it March 3rd?
Yeah, it's just a couple of weeks, but
get down, check them out, buy their beer on the taps, help them out, get their employees. Paychecks coming to the end of the time. So
yep.
It is what it is.
Yep.
We have some big events coming up. We just mentioned Stout It Out Loud, which is kind of like a primer for one of the biggest beer fests.
That is our favorite. We talk about it all the time.
All the time.
It's the winter warmer.
Yep.
Everybody's going to bring their biggest, baddest winter warmers, their barrel-aged stuff. They have the cask location outside. It's a great time. They have the Brewer's Eve night before, Friday. We're going to be there. So
we'll do a little.
Hopefully don't get too banged up so we can't make it Saturday.
We'll do a little bit of live videos like last time, both at that Ohio Craft Brewers Association Winter Warmer 3-2 at Windows on the River BeerFestTickets.com. Make sure that you get out and check it out. You can find that. Just Google Winter Warmer. Cleveland is coming up very fast.
Very fast. Going to be great.
3-2.
Going to be
Couple
great.
weeks.
Yep.
Friday night, VIP. Get yourself there. A lot of fun opportunities. And then, of course, jumping into Saturday with everybody's big
Saturday.
bombers. Food trucks. Great event. I would say it's the gold standard for the best brewing beer fest around.
You heard it. It's true.
Mark it down.
All right, so the Neo Craft Brewery News March Madness competition is still going on. They're doing their seeding voting for the people that will start in the first bracket.
Yep.
So
They have some play-ins.
that goes to the end of the month, the 29th. So go to any of their Facebook posts and any of the March Madness posts. You can find the URL there. It's a tiny URL, but
Yeah, it's a
check it
Google
out.
form. Get on
It's a
there,
Google
put your
form
email
vote,
address in, and make sure when you go down and pick your best breweries that Avon Brewing and Medina are on that list. It would
Yes.
be wonderful to do that for us.
Yes.
I know Dave's repping the Avon shirt today under his
Yeah.
BlabberMalt.
I
Yeah,
got
it's like a
repping
Superman.
Two things, yeah.
Yeah, look at that. So get out there and vote for your favorite brewery. Help them get into to this March Madness tournament. It's just
it's
fun.
It's fun. Yeah.
It's
Doesn't mean
just fun.
it's fun. Yeah. So, Cal, we'd like to go over some music events that are happening locally. But first, what kind of music is Cal into?
You know, given my advanced age, it's mostly lots of classic rock, alt rock.
Okay.
You know, like Zeppelin to Radiohead and everything in between. Sort
Okay.
of.
How do you feel about the hair metal, Poison, Motley Crue, that kind of stuff?
It has its place. It was
Okay.
never sort of a genre that I was super big on, but I appreciate it. I have lots of friends that love it, especially Poison and Motley were of my generation too. So
So you're talking
I get it.
Zeppelin, AC/DC, Scorpions.
Exactly.
Am I getting warmer?
I mean,
okay.
wait, no, I more classic rock. I think like Floyd, Zeppelin, some Doors, but even newer stuff like I don't know, everything that's sort of been genrefied from that today is stuff I'm interested in. But
Okay.
the big hair stuff, I mean, not so much.
Okay. All right. Well, that's where our worlds kind of coalesce. Matthias tends to be more of a country guy.
Okay,
I'm kind of a metal guy.
right.
So
But we do like
Big hair.
the 80s hair bands
yes,
together. It's kind of
yes.
fun.
So we have a
It was
couple.
It was a fun era.
It was a fun era.
It was.
Still
Certainly
is.
was.
These guys are they're still
they're-
rocking it
They're
out.
older, but they're still rocking.
Woo!
Um,
So we have events coming up pretty soon.
yeah, we got some events. Static X and Seven Dust are coming to the Agora in 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
I really love Seven Dust. They're kind of a 90s hard rock. They're not death metal. They're hard rock, but Static X is a little harder. Oh, Aerosmith. How do you feel about Aerosmith, Cal?
They're okay. They're okay.
Black Crowes. That's 90s.
Yeah, 90s had their stuff. I mean,
Yeah. Well, these guys are
more Foo Fighters probably back then.
okay.
Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm into them. Yeah. So Aerosmith and Black Crowes are coming February 29th, Rocket Mortgage. Also March 9th, Rocket Mortgage, Avenged
I do
Sevenfold.
like them.
Yeah, they're, I would say, almost a progressive metal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tesla, March 16th, Northfield Park. Love Tesla. They've been on Monsters of Rock quite a few times. And then I just wanted to see, are there any bands coming? ZZ's?
Yeah,
Medina
so
Brewing?
ZZ's here in Avon. We have Friday karaoke, and Saturday night we have High on the Hog, starting at I think 7:30 or so.
Okay.
Medina this weekend we have Little Steve-O on Friday playing from 7 to 10, and Rob Rocks is going from 7 to 10:30. Get an extra half an hour on Saturday night.
Ooh,
So
sounds good.
yeah,
Sounds
live
good.
music every Friday and Saturday night in Medina. We have karaoke every Friday in Avon, and then again this week at ZZ's we have High on the Hog, our house band playing
Sounds great.
Rocking out the classics.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah, man.
All right. So, hey, man, don't forget to email questions to us, blabbermalt@gmail.com. Anything you want us to cover. We did get a question from somebody, one of our listeners says, what do you guys have planned for the 4-9 show? I only ask because the world will end during the eclipse the day before, right?
No.
No show. We're done after that. The world's going to end.
I don't like that.
I don't know
We're
if
going to have a regular show.
Just to keep Kal in the loop, like the eclipse is like the
Right
epicenter
over
comes right over our town. They're
Oh,
expecting
you're lucky.
tens of thousands of people to invade our county. Mayhem. They're predicting get groceries and gas the week before. I'm scared.
That's cool.
I'm scared.
We'll see what happens. I'm excited to see the eclipse, so it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
We're right in the
Bring
middle
your
of it.
bring your glasses and beer.
So we do have some glasses. So the BlabberMalt Show is going to make a batch of pemmican. We're going to fill our brew tanks with water so we have a supply. And we'll be down here in the secret lair, Club Radon, under the volcano,
On 4-9.
riding out the end of times. 4-9.
And we can go live and tell you all about how things are going.
If there's
down in the
internet.
real world.
If there's internet. We'll see.
Man, Dave.
I don't know. All right, you want to grain out?
Let's do it.
It's time to grain out. Grain out.
So we got some upcoming shows here. Next week, I don't know. We're going to get the Collision Bend guys in.
We're on the hook.
All right. They said they'll be here. The next one is wrong. They backed out. They have an anniversary show that day. So
See, at least they actually were a little bit ahead of time before
let us
we
know,
are.
yeah.
So
March 12th is our anniversary show. We're going to do something special here for
yeah,
you.
1 year.
The 19th, I'm off. I'm going to be in Fort Myers, but we might have some random
We'll do some random stuff.
stuff. Just
Yeah.
go
I'm going to break
live
in your
and
house
stuff.
here at Club Radon.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Have some
You can
fun.
figure this stuff out.
And 326, the hair metal god
Oh, yeah.
himself.
Cal, we got this guy, Billy Morris. He played guitar in Warrant. You remember Warrant from the 80s?
Yep.
He played in Quiet Riot. He's playing in a band right now called Tough. They were like almost where Poison was. They're glam metal, really great band. They didn't quite hit the super big time, but he plays guitar for them along with a couple other guys.
Yeah.
Good
Todd.
band.
Yeah, great band.
Oh yeah. So he's going to be in studio the 26th with us. We're going to
Cool.
talk about. He's a big cream ale guy, Jenny Cream,
Little Kings.
Little Kings. Yeah. So we're going to have.
And all beers, Avon Brewing Company.
Yeah. Get him drink some Avon Light. So.
Yeah, there you go. Cal, one more time before we head out tonight, let everybody know how to get a hold of you.
Sure. The best way is through my website at theelectricbrewery.com, or they can just email me directly at cal@theelectricbrewery.com.
My man, thanks for
Sounds
coming on
perfect.
tonight.
Cal, I love you, my brother. You've
been
helped
fun.
me
It's
so
been fun,
much.
guys.
It's been so much fun. Appreciate
Hey,
it.
any other questions as you work on your setups? Let me know. You don't have to get me to come on the show just to answer questions. It's
Okay.
I'm always available.
All right. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll hit you up. And he's going to be Johnny on the spot. The guy is boom.
Boom,
Yeah,
boom, boom.
Yeah.
Man crush right here.
Yeah.
Hey, don't forget to like,
Happy to-
follow, subscribe, get the boom, boom, hit the button.
Hit the button. Find us in all the places: Spotify, Instagram, Threads, X, Facebook, all those
Yeah,
places. Yeah.
Appreciate you, Cal. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate
Been
it.
fun, guys.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Until next
We'll see ya.
time.
Stay
Stay
malty,
malty,
Cleveland. And stay malty, Ottawa.
Yeah, Ottawa.
Thanks.
Let's go. Canucks.